I've tried a ton of Ecovacs robots, but this one is something special. It's basically their version of a one-man brass band. You know those crazy people you see walking down the street with 26 instruments strapped to their appendages? Well, this is their flagship model, the Omni X1, and it has several features that I've never seen on a robot vacuum before. And boy, are you in for a treat with this one. Let's take a closer look. This is the Omni X1, the absolute pinnacle of home cleaning robot technology. And like many robot vacuums, it has some similarities. 2 detachable sweeping brushes at the front, large paddle in the centre, and a big contact sensor along the front for finding its way around. It has a few more advanced things though, like AI vision to detect obstacles and generate an accurate 3D map of the house, and features full voice control either through the inbuilt voice assistant or by connecting it to third-party services like Amazon. It has a rather large docking station that does a few things that will blow your mind, but we'll come back to this shortly because I want to show you this robot's sexy posterior, which has a complete overhaul. Instead of using a flat panel mopping system like before, it now features 2 huge round mopping heads that aren't too dissimilar to an actual mop. These things spin at 180 revolutions per minute, scrubbing the floor spotless with every single run. When I saw this for the first time, I thought, wow. But I initially had my reservations. In my eyes, having great big mops on the bottom like this, scrubbing the floors on a daily basis, would quickly get them dirty and stinking of damp and constantly wet. But I was very, very wrong. And this is where the docking station comes in. Now this thing might be colossal, but it's worth every bit of space that it takes up. And it acts like a large receptacle for the dust and debris that this vacuums up. It automatically empties the robot of anything that it's picked up in a cycle and places it into a larger bin every time it docks, meaning there's no more manually emptying after every run, which I must say is an absolute pleasure. This is the first time that I've ever tested out one of these docking stations, and I'm not sure how I ever lived without, because it just takes away that daily monotony of having to remember to empty out the robot. As well as this though, it has 2 4-litre water tanks in the top, and here is where it gets cool. When the robot comes to the dock, it automatically fills up its personal reservoir with clean water from one of the tanks. Then, after a cleaning session, or when the X1 senses that the mopping pads are too dirty, it will return to the station and actually wash the mop heads, pulling all the dirty water into the second tank and then again refilling from the first. Not only this, but when it finishes a cleaning session completely, it washes the mop heads and then dries them with hot air. How insane is that? This means that the mop heads are always going to be clean and dry and should therefore minimise bad smells associated with damp and used mop heads. Now this station is so intelligent and literally does most of the hard work for you. I do have a little wish list here though for future iterations. The capacity of the clean water tank is 4 litres, so based on my use you're probably looking at about 10 cycles before you'll need to refill the tank. Now overall that's pretty good, and it uses a lot less water than if you were mopping with a regular mop, so it's good for the environment. However, it would be awesome if you had the option to plumb it into your water mains, so that essentially you could take clean water straight off the mains and then empty all of the dirty water directly down the waste disposal. It would just be nice to have that option, because I don't really like looking or having to deal with the dirty water container. It's pretty gross. Look at this monstrosity. There's your clean water. That is absolutely horrid. That's dirty water. There is one other slight concern, and that's about the dust and dirt collection section. Now, it's fantastic, as I've said, to not have to worry about emptying this robot after every single use. However, the dustbin section requires the use of vacuum bags. Now, supposedly these last on average for a month before you need to change them, but that will differ vastly on how much dirt your household generates. For me, living in the countryside with a lizardling and 2 massive hairy poo eaters that get covered in mud every time they even look out the window, I'm going to need to change that bag a lot more. Now, these bags, if you were to buy the official recommended bags from Ecovacs, cost around £7 per bag, which is quite expensive. Now, I haven't tried another bag yet from a third party, or I've not tried using it without one, so I'm not sure how that will impact it. So please, if you've tried any of those and you've got the Omni X1, do let us know in the comments how third-party bags and how not using a bag works. But either way, it just would have been nice. I get it, it would be messier if it didn't have a dust bag, but it would be better for the environment and better for the wallet in the long term. Like I said though, if you can use third-party bags, there's plenty out there for quite cheap. I just haven't tried that function out with a third-party bag yet. Still, with those 2 things put to one side, the station is an absolutely incredible piece of technology in its own right. And it even has one final little trick up its sleeve in the form of a hidden compartment to store fresh mop heads, cleaning brush and cleaning fluid. Ecovacs sell a dedicated cleaning fluid overseas, but in the UK they don't, as far as I can tell. Now, I haven't tried using an alternative yet, I've only used regular water, but I've scoured the forums, and from what I can tell, as long as the cleaning solution is sub-free, then it should work fine. But harsher chemicals may have a negative effect on the internals over long exposure, like bleach. Again, if anyone's got any experience with using different solutions in the clean water tank, let us know in the comments. Now, when it comes to the robot itself, other than the new mopping system, it actually has a considerable overhaul to design and the overall capabilities. This looks the most premium that it's ever looked, with its silver and its carbon appearance. And the main changes are now that it uses a magnetic top, which means it's much easier to access the internals of the device and to be able to clean inside it, being able to take this completely off. Not only this, but the mopping pads are magnetic as well, so I can simply just pop those off and it's easy to take those off to change to clean. I'll get onto this more in a second, but the front brushes are still the same push and click connection as in all of their robots. It would have been nice if the front brushes were magnetic as well, but then on the other hand, it makes them easier to buy replacements, certainly when it's time to refresh them anyway. Now, along with the design changes, there's been a huge overhaul to the brain of the robot. It's much faster at computing than others that I've tried, and it seems to understand the area far better than anything before. So well, in fact, that it rarely uses the contact pad on the front to make its way around the house, instead opting to use only the AI vision. This obviously minimises that chance of knocking that priceless Ming vase that you've got standing in your hallway. But it just goes to show how much they've improved the AI and computing of this robot. It's just incredible. And the speed at which it can find its way back to the dock is a good way to demonstrate how good it is. Robots I've tested in the past seem to saunter about for 5 minutes, bumping around till it gets home as if it's stumbling home from the pub after downing 6 pints of fine ale. Well, this one is bloody rapid, and it cruises at some speed, especially on the straights. I'd probably say it's faster overall as well. Being able to understand the environment has been able to speed up the cleaning cycle by about 20% compared to other robots. And so far, it hasn't been stuck once. Another new addition is the ability to use the camera and the cleaning at the same time. Like the T8, you can go into it and pilot it yourself, driving it around your house and speaking to people. However, you couldn't clean and view the camera at the same time. Now, with the new system, it can do both, which is handy to check its progress and monitor, let's say, if it does get stuck or obstructed by something. And as for the actual success of the cleaning function, well, it does an absolutely incredible job, and my stone floors have never looked cleaner. I didn't have any concerns about the vacuuming function, which is largely the same since the N97, the T8 that I've used, but I was a bit worried about the new mops and whether or not it would struggle with the undulating floors that I've got in my house. But I've been super surprised about how well it's worked and can only imagine that on completely smooth surfaces, this would work even better. The only downside to this new system is that when the mops are attached, it automatically places this into a mopping mode.
Switch to vacuum and mopping mode,
Which means it will completely ignore carpets and rugs. Now, this is great because you don't want a sopping wet carpet, but it does mean that you need to remove these mop heads once in a while to let it do a vacuum-only run to clean carpeted and rugged areas, which can be a little bit of a chore considering the rest of it is automated through the docking station. It would be cool if the docking station could remove the pads for you for a vacuum-only run. Ecovacs, make sure you add that into a future iteration. Imagine that. You could grab the pads and take them off. And then you could go out and do a vacuum run. You could do it in the same cycle. How cool would that be? I should patent that idea. Now let's talk about the cost, because this thing is far from cheap. This is Ecovacs' flagship model, and because of it, it comes with a flagship price. This thing is normally £1,499. Now, I was originally going to tell you at this point that I've managed to find it for a supreme discount over on Amazon Prime Day, and it was down from £1,499 to £899, which was an incredible saving. Unfortunately, I got down with COVID, which was delightful. Little mini review of that. Not recommended. If you can avoid it, definitely avoid it. But anyway, unfortunately, it's now back at full price. I do believe that Amazon have a slight offer on, though, taking it down from £1,499 down to £1,199 with a £300 voucher, and that's at least on the UK website anyway, when I've just had a look. So go and check it out at the links below. I'm not sure what price it is. Will it ever get back down to the £899 on Amazon Prime Day? I don't know. It would be nice to see it at that price because that was super cheap. But I'm very sorry that I was ill and didn't get round to telling you about that amazing discount. But anyway, take a look at the link, see what price it is. I do recognise that is still a lot of money even with the discount. But I've said time and time again that Ecovacs have changed my perception on robot vacuum cleaners in the most positive way, to the point where I don't think I could live without one. Yes, this one's got a few things that I would like different, such as the dust bags and not being able to plumb it in. But these are very small issues in what I believe is one of the best robot vacuum cleaners that I've had on the channel to date. I'm talking about cost versus value. The Omni X1 has saved me so much time, it's untrue. Let's say that I mopped every single day for a year, and it takes me maybe at my fastest 20 minutes. This robot will end up saving me 121 hours of time. Or talking about real terms, if you take sleeping into account, it would save me an entire week of productive time that I could do something else with. Every single year. I'm getting a week back of my time because this can mop and vacuum and clean my entire house properly. That's a week back. I could go on holiday in that week. So I believe for £1,499 and even better £899 during a discounted period, this is an exceptionally fair price to pay for something that can save me so much time. And that to me is priceless. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe and notification bell, and do let me know in the comments if you would spend that much on a robot vacuum, or if you've got one already, what have you got? Do you like it? Do you think you could live without it? Let me know in the comments so we can all have a good chin wag. But I'll see you back for another episode of STU'S Reviews soon.